You need to be seeking the folks in the gym who are not at 400, but that are at 475. Because once you get to 400, if you're like me or like other human beings who growth is inevitable, you're going to be seeking higher.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performance Life podcast. And today I am super excited because we are going to be speaking about one of the most important topics, if not the most important topic. And we have an expert who is just amazingly, has so many different success acclamations, so many different awards that she's won. Her name is Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. She is a world-renowned life coach. She's Teen Mom Life Coach on MTV, ranked #1 author in Success Magazine's top 20. She is she's the author of the book called Mental Detox: The Power and Guidance to Implement Peace, Joy, Balance, and Financial Abundance in Your Life. She's worked with many, many top celebrities, many top people that you've probably follow on social media, and she's going to share her wisdom with us here today. So Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I mean, I'm excited. I'm always happy to provide folks with tips or tools on how to live the best quality of life that they can live. I always say it's a human right for us all to live a great quality of life and to have our mental health. And it takes mental health to have a great quality of life. They're directly married. And so I'm excited to be able to talk to you, talk to your audience. And so, yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah, I agree. And I think so much of people having success, however you define that, personally or business or whatever, has to do with being able to, has to do with your mental health, has to do with how you can handle different situations and overcome different things. So really excited about this conversation. Can we start with just kind of a brief background of how you got to where you are today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm just, I always say I'm just a little girl from the inner city that happened to see a lot of things in my environment that I did not want to be like, or I didn't want to mimic or mirror. And I always say, and Abraham Hicks, who I love, says it best, I want to say, second to me, of course, no, that was a joke, but that contrast is our best friend. And so through the contrast that I seen in my environment, it really took me to a narrow road. Wide's the road to destruction, narrow's the road to happiness. Okay. So my wide road, which we all enter first, gave me a lot of contrast of what I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to show up as. And I started to build this narrow road of what I do like through breaking the contrast barriers. And so that's why I say a little girl from the inner city that happened to be tenacious and determined to make it and make something of myself. And it wasn't what I was running from, it was what I was running to that got me the momentum and that taught me how to run. And you said it just a second ago, not just how to run, but the direction to run into and how to manage the journey that I was running on. And it's the management of ourself, not others, that creates the journey that best fits us, that best fits what will fill us up, top us up, off, inspire us on, in sense of having that peace and that joy in the midst of the journey. Because life, I always say, life is here to give us and teach us balance. And the way we accumulate balance is the good and the bad, and those coming into a enmeshment, right, of them coming together and saying, we're going to marry those, and now you have balance. And what happens is, and I was just talking about this in my session prior to coming here with you on the podcast, is like my client prior to this, she happens to, she's a filler. So she feels very deep into her emotions and what's going on. And so her issue isn't not feeling. She has a great relationship with feeling because she feels everything. The issue is she indulges in that too much. So she has to learn how to have balance and become a master distractor, because there's healthy distraction and there's unhealthy distraction, just like there's healthy manipulation and unhealthy manipulation, right? There goes that balance again. She has to learn how to distract from thinking and feeling so deep, versus other clients have to learn how to feel because they're distracting too much. And so they're not able to get in contact with, well, what am I feeling? What is that associated with? And then with that comes awareness. She's too aware. So we have to help her alleviate some of her awareness with positive distraction, so then she gets balanced. Otherwise, she'll drive herself crazy in this world, right? Because she's not getting enough of the recharge world. So what happens? She's always depleted. She's always emotionally fatigued, because emotions will fatigue you. Like having a hangover from alcohol, you do experience an emotional hangover. She's always emotionally hungover. And so we're working on her feeling the stuff over here. And so I say all that to say that I took everything around me and decided, hey, I'm going to go and I'm going to be everything opposite of, for the most part, not everything, but a lot of the stuff opposite of what I see. And I did that. And I made sure that along my journey that I created, right, in my mind, because we're all little projectors and our mind is just consumed of illusion. And so does that mean that things that we see are not real? It means exactly that. It means that they are not real for anybody outside of us. They're only real for me, the thinker, or you, the thinker. And so I learned that at a very early age, that if I can be childlike in my imagination, I can create externally, after I create it internally, what I need my journey to look and feel like. And then I have that self-mastery control over only that, and that's unlimited. So I was able to create this journey that allowed me to catapult and create a very fast momentum out of where I was. Because remember, I was running away from something, not running to, because I didn't know where the heck I was running to. I just know I was running away from what I didn't like. That didn't like, it fit me. And so I created that momentum, catapulted me. And then here I am in a space of what I call God's peace. But I learned how to do that with this beautiful thing called imagination that we were giving, which is us being transformed, not conformed by our mind. And when you learn what that really means, you start to become really playful, and then it becomes game time. It becomes a really fun, childlike game time with yourself and source, or whatever you believe in, your higher being, or your higher being being you, but it becomes that type of orchestration. And then you have your power, and then that's self-mastery. And then you become less codependent, because you're depending on you to be equipped with what you need to feel good, and not external forces to come with their toolbox where you've put your tools in. So you can't utilize or access your tools when you're codependent until the people whose boxes you put your tools in, i.e. your happiness, your smile, your peace, are tools in their box. And until they arrive, codependent, in the way that you need them to arrive in, then you can't have happiness, you can't have joy. Not a place to be in.
So much good stuff there. That was really good. And I totally agree in terms of balance, right? And we all think like, I just want to always be happy. It's like, well, without the sadness, you don't have the happiness, right? So totally agree. And for people listening too, sometimes they hear people like you and I, and they think, oh, they must always be happy or something, right? And it really, obviously, the more work you do on yourself, I would say that the quicker you can come back from it, but it doesn't mean you're not going to feel those emotions, right?
That is so good. I love what you said, because you're right. Folks think that you get to an arrival of a destination, and then boom, it's the promised land. You're in the Garden of Eden, and everything is magic. No, will you have stretched out longer moments of promised land and magical moments? Absolutely. So I am almost always happy. I am almost always in peace. I really am, because I've done a whole lot of work to get here. Now, the maintenance of it is just what you said. There's times where I can still get a little off kilter, whether it's hormonal, because for women, it's the time of the month. For men, their testosterone levels tend to peak or tend to lower. And so that can also cause a difference in your mood. The key is to learning how to regulate and manage yourself. So like you just said, when I get into those spaces, which is very rare, and this is just being honest, and it wasn't always like this. There was a time where I had to figure out how to get out of those spaces more than I am in them. I have my go-to, my toolboxes. There's a few things. I do my self-talk. I'm able to self-regulate immediately. I can feel when I'm starting to my 3-part house, which is how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. My 3-part house starts to become disaligned. I can feel it immediately versus before you start doing your work. For the folks that are listening who are not quite there yet, I want to give you a tool on when you first start doing your work. It takes days, weeks, and sometimes months before you realize, wait, I'm out of whack. I'm off kilter. I'm out of alignment with myself. But as you do the work, you catch it right at the door. You catch it within seconds of, oh, I'm off kilter. Okay, I can self-talk. I can make a phone call. I can retreat and just kind of take my me time for 5 to 10 minutes so I can recalibrate. And then I know I can when to step out, right? So that I am not influenced and I'm not, I'm not of the world. I'm just in it while the world does this. It does the crazy thing that it does. And so you're 100% right. And what is more important than learning how to get to a place of peace or a place of mental health are the tools needed to maintain it. Because getting there is a destination, but maintaining is the journey. And so you will constantly get to this magical place, but your tools will help you stay there longer. You won't be there forever because this is life and life does what it does, but you'll be able to certainly be in that creative space that you create with your imagination of your mind, right? You will transform your optics by the thoughts that you choose to think, and that will become your reality of what you experience. And so what do? I do what I call good manipulation. I manipulate myself, the good manipulate, healthy manipulation all day long. I manipulate my mind to think what it's going to think, because here's the thing, if I don't manipulate my mind to think the things that make me feel good and keep me in the i.e. the vortex, which is the good place everybody wants to be in, that's where all your stuff is, then guess what? Life, people, and circumstance will manipulate me for me. So the choice is, do I want that to manipulate me, the external stuff, or would I rather manipulate myself so that I have the power and the control to put me where I want to be emotionally and mentally?
Nice. Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. So for people right now that are maybe feeling like, and I think so many of us, myself included, always feel like, I feel like I can be doing more. I feel like I can be helping more people. I feel like, there's just more in me, or maybe someone is currently, not as healthy as they want to be, or not having the job or the career that they want. They know that there's more in them. What advice would you have for those people?
Yeah, there's always more in us because growth is inevitable, right? So that's very factual. The whole I should be further than I am thing is a distorted thought. It is an illusion. You are right where you have thought and allowed yourself to be. So what does that mean? That means that the moment that you want to be further, be bigger, or better, right? Based on whatever that is for them, is the moment that you have to become bigger, greater, and better in your thinking and in your choosing. Your environment will change you before you change it. And so you have to go where this bigger, better, and different is, so that you can, couple things, learn their culture, their language, and their behavior. How do they align? How do they speak? How do they think? Do you have to become a robot as to how they are? No, but you do have to adopt some of their how-tos, because folks who are a certain way are that way because they manifested their mindset. You're manifesting your mindset. So for example, if you are asking, to bench press 400 pounds, but you're only able to bench press 200 pounds because that is all the work and investment you've put into being able to strength train yourself, then that means you just have more work before you can get to the 400. However, hanging around folks who only can bench press 200 caps you off at knowing how to bench press 200. You need to be seeking the folks in the gym who are not at 400, but that are at 475. Because once you get to 400, if you're like me or like other human beings who growth is inevitable, you're going to be seeking higher. So you start to bench press your 200 next to the guy who's doing 400, and you watch everything he or she does so that you can become that with incorporating your authenticity of who you are. And then remember that everything that you involve yourself in, you give every single thing you have. You pour everything you have into everything that you're involved in, because after you give everything, it has to be good enough because there's nothing left to pour out. And whenever you give all that you have, it's not about the amount that place the value on what you receive back, right? It is the righteousness of how you did it. I'm giving everything I have, even if it's only $2. So guess what? I'm going to receive, whether it's a blessing or a law of attraction, I'm going to receive exceedingly abundantly above all I can imagine and ask for, because I poured out everything I have within my capacity. And the universe says, oh, I don't know the amount. I just know she gave her all. So let me give her back the fullest available potential of what she was penetrating, of what she was putting into. So you get the return on your investment based on how much of yourself you give, not based on the value of what you're giving.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, that's so true. And I also, I love how you broke it down so quickly and easily to, you are basically the sum of your thoughts, right? Your thoughts up to now. So kind of piggybacking off of that a little bit. So people are like, okay, so how do I change my thoughts? These thoughts seem so ingrained. How do I start to change that?
Yeah. I love that too, because I just spoke at and I'm not a preacher at all. I'm a psychology expert, a doctor, but I speak everywhere. So I spoke at a church about mental health and so forth, and I tied scripture to it. And I brought up Romans, I think it's Romans 2:12, where he says, be transformed, not conformed by the renewal of your thoughts. And I mentioned how it also goes on to say, I love this, think only on the thoughts that are praiseworthy. Now, this is nothing to do with religion. This is everything to do with principle, everything to do with higher source. For me, my higher source is God. Everyone can name it whatever they want. It's still a higher source of power that provides you principles on how to do the things you need to do for you to be in a very great space, emotionally and mentally, and for you to have your vessels wide open to receiving that at which you're praying for, you're asking for. So what does that mean? Think only on the thoughts that are praiseworthy. You reprogram your mind. As soon as a negative thought comes in, and how do you know it's a negative thought? It doesn't feel good. It doesn't serve you. As soon as you think something that puts you in a space of discomfort and dis-ease, which causes disease, immediately you check it and say, wait a minute, this is what I always ask myself, and I tell my clients this as well. If what I'm thinking came true right now, would I think this? If it's a no, go to the thought that is praiseworthy. Go to the thought that you would pray or ask for if you really had a magic wand that said everything you think about right now is going to come true right this second. Or you only have 5 seconds. Would you change it up on second number 3? Really, and then replace it with what you'd want to think about. It's not only principle, but it's fact. And it works. It's law of attraction. It really is. It's law of attraction if you go spiritual. It's Romans 2:12 if you go biblical. At the peak of the Bible and law of attraction, they're the same thing. They're just worded differently. And it's all wordplay, but they're principles that teach you. I implemented this principle with everything that I have manifested in my world. I remember I would work out with my trainer, Donna Matrix, who's a huge, renowned celebrity trainer. He's amazing. But I would work out in his studio. And I didn't have my home at this time. I had a beautiful luxury apartment downtown. It was gorgeous, but it wasn't my home. And I remember working out, and I would go silent, and I would literally think only the thoughts that I was doing that same workout poolside in the back of my home. I did that for about a year. Every time I worked out, he would say, Doc, what are you thinking about? I said, I'm manifesting. He go, okay, do your thing, right? I'm manifesting. Okay, do your thing. And maybe about 2 years after that, I was working out poolside in the back of my home, and I just stopped mid-workout, and I was overwhelmed with this peace and this joy that came out as tears, because I'm like, I'm living in my manifestation right now. Like, I'm working poolside with doing the exact same workout, because I was working out his on-demand workout in my pool, in my home, in the backyard of this beautiful, huge estate. I manifested that because I only seen myself working out poolside.
Mm, mm,
My vision board, the same thing. I would imagine myself on commercial flights. I'm not playing, and I would look out the window and I would imagine myself on a private jet, and I'm like in the air and I'm going, this is crazy. I'm on the private jet. This is amazing. A few years later, got a call from one of my mentors, a great friend of mine, said, hey, I'd love to sponsor a jet membership for you. Would you like it? I'm going, would I like it? I would love it. And then I had to stop in that moment. And I always, my way of being in ahas, I go, God, you're funny. You're funny.
mm,
I thought that every time I got on that commercial jet, I didn't know how, I didn't even know, I didn't even have a contact of a private jet company. I really didn't.
mm.
About it every day. And guess what? It came to me because success is something you attract. It's not something you chase, and it's not something you create. You attract success. This is law of attraction, not of insertion. So you ain't inserting yourself anywhere. You will always calibrate your praiseworthy thoughts. And remember, praiseworthy free will means, again, the universe, which God created, doesn't know good or bad. It knows what you are thinking is praiseworthy. And it's a genie. Your thoughts rubs it. It creates that at what you're thinking. And here I am 2 years later, I have the membership. And now not only me, but my mom, my grandmother, my family, I'm able to fly them different places on a jet, eat lunch for the day. And I'm not bragging. I am telling this because I want your listeners to understand that if a little girl like me who came from the inner city, who came from a home where we had a lot of love, we had more love than you could ever, abundance of love, but we didn't always have the money and resources, can take these principles, literally manifest a dream life, a dream world, and be able to be in my purpose, in my authenticity of doing what I love most. So I'm never working, I'm just getting paid because I'm able to change lives by my testimony and by my principles. If I can do that, anybody on earth can do it. All you have to do is apply the same system, because again, success is not a person, it's a system. It's not a particular, it's a system, it's principles.
I
That's what it
love
is.
that.
That's
I
all.
I really love that. And the listeners, they know me well from the perspective of health and of the company. I actually don't talk about it very often, but also I previously sold a company for a good amount of money, and also thought to myself, if I could do anything, what would I do? And health was my passion because I had health challenges back about 9-10 years ago now, and overcame those and was very passionate about that. And I, every morning, at least Monday through Friday, when my daughters go off to school, I immediately go outside and I start doing my visualizations. I have my journal with my book, and the first page I open to says, the thoughts that will serve me the most are, I am happy, I'm grateful, I have a positive mental attitude every day. Talk about my family and everything. And so I'm glad we opened this up, because I haven't actually shared this very often with the listeners either. But pretty much all the success I think that I've had in my life, I thought, I visualized, and I took the time to do that. So, there's a lot of people that are like, work hard, wake up, start grinding right away. And for me, what I realize is the more I actually take quiet time and think for myself, and be, like you're talking about, be purposeful about what thoughts do I want, what life do I want, and purposefully creating that, I happen to make, I happen to do better in business. I happen to do better in all areas of my life, while not just, wake up and grind type mentality. So it's great.
100%. I love what you said. And I'm not saying that waking up at the peak of dawn or 5 or 6 a.m. and just, boots to the floor, going and grinding out all day, that I'm not saying that system won't work, right? But I believe what we are saying is that system isn't the only way, and you don't have to do it that way. And what you described is pretty much, it is a form of meditation. When you when you declutter and you get, because meditation isn't always like this. Now I do it like this because it works, but meditation is also what you said. When you get quiet enough to declutter and allow source to talk to you, it will fill you up with all of the answers you have to the dreams that you're attempting to manifest. It will help you actualize things faster. That's called speeding up your momentum. So as you silence yourself, you speed up momentum, because momentum being speed up and you having clutter cannot coexist. So as you declutter, momentum speeds up like a rocket. And I mean, the floodgates just to the point where there's times where I know that I've verbalized and I've said, years ago, faster, you're moving too slow, faster. And so now I'm going, oh God, okay. I love where I'm at. These are good problems to have, but I need more team members. I think we need to expand. And okay, give me some, hold on, give me some manpower so we can, he goes, oh, but you wanted me to gas it. And I'm like, I did, and I still do, but now I want you to send me the people so we can keep this machine going and we can manage it and enjoy it. So just saying what you're saying is on point. And again, if folks apply these principles, I don't want them to think that, it happens overnight, because I don't want folks to get discouraged. What I can say is things will start to happen much faster very soon. And it's something you want to upkeep. Once you start to manifest things, you have to maintain what you did from the beginning to continue this fast break momentum of manifestation. If you stop that, then you do stop your momentum. So it takes some work. However, 10 minutes or 20 minutes of meditation a day or visualization like you're doing, it will actually quadruple your day when it comes to time, when it comes to blessings, when it comes to things that you're attempting to achieve coming in, because we are calibrators. So what you're saying you do in your backyard, all you're doing is you're refining your calibration.
Exactly.
So that things can find you quicker and stick to you quicker, that you're attempting to attract, and you're not here with all this clutter, watch this, around your calibration, and things are going, I'm trying to get through, but clutter. So meditation declutters, because we're always calibrating. We never stop wanting. Calibration is just what I want. It's what I really want at my heart. It's what I really want. But the clutter keeps things from attracting to that. Things are always trying to attract to you. And another thing I want to say quickly is, you want to know what, for some people say, well, how do I know what I'm thinking? I'm not aware of it. You want to know what you're thinking, right? Look at what you've attracted. All we are always experiencing ourselves. And so my experience, the person at the red light, my neighbors, is just a moving piece of me coming out in me, so that I can have awareness of what I need to work on or what I need to continue to just do. So life is meant to be enjoyed, not to be personalized.
That's so good. Yeah, that's so good. What about, let me ask you this. What about, I feel like a lot of people struggle with this. And I would say that even myself, there are times when I feel bored, right? What do you have to say about boredom, and when people kind of have that feeling of boredom? What does that mean essentially? And what can we do to, I don't know, I guess, overcome it?
What is necessary is so that you break the boredom, sometimes the monogamy of it in between. Perfect example, there's times where, like you just explained, I can get bored in my routine, but I love what I'm doing. My routine is boring me. What do? I would change up my workout environment. I won't work out poolside. I'll go for a 3-mile run around the creek that I have by my home. Maybe I'll work out in my bedroom and put on a YouTube video and listen to an audiobook. I'll switch up. Maybe I'll hop on a flight for the day. Just what I do, because I work my butt off to get here. So I'm going to do it. For me, I'll take a flight up north, go eat lunch for the day, fly back same day, just to get a change in environment. And it charges me, it changes me. And oftentimes it makes me miss my routine that I was bored with. But you got to pull away from routine, and you got to do stuff that's totally outside of that. Find out what fires you off, that allows you to have complete freedom that has nothing to do with the discipline of your daily routine. Do that and you won't get bored. And don't just do that in time blocks. Do it for as long as you need to do it before you return to your routine, because routine is what creates boredom, and or you're still at the same level when it's time for you to ascend. And so you've already exalted all of what you can give here. And it's time for you to go here, because new levels brings new tools, and it makes it to where you have to expand more of who you are for you to even thrive here, because the old you here won't work here. So if you're bored, that means that you got to get your weight up, champ. You got to get your weight up. That means it's time for next level. So you can be bored, but also you can also be lazy and or afraid of the unknown that's here. So folks would rather be bored. The old devil is better than the new devil, the saying. They can be bored here when they're supposed to be here. But you've capped off here. You capped off. So go here so that the newness will then break and dissipate your boredness.
That's good. That's good. I like that. Yeah. And so kind of going back to, this is another reason, another thing that I thought of was that I'm very protective of what I allow into my mind. Right. It's like I made the mistake the other day of watching, and it's like Saturday night. Okay, let me watch this, violent drama movie or whatever. Right. And I noticed the effect. I mean, my sleep that night, I woke up the next morning with like negative thoughts in my head, thinking about this movie and stuff. And I've learned, I should have learned that lesson already, which I have, and I usually don't, but I slipped up that one time. And I think, and it's also like first thing in the morning, right? So many people are turning on the news or the radio or just allowing themselves to be bombarded with negative messages instead of taking control and really protecting what they allow into their mind, which is what you're talking about with the thoughts, right?
Absolutely, 100%. Again, we become what we think about most of the time, whether we believe it or not. Law of attraction is you attract who you are despite who you think you are. And as a man thinketh, so is he.
Mm-hmm.
A man, meaning woman or man, is the sum of their thoughts. You said it earlier. A good book for that, guys, besides Mental Detox, my book is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Sidebar, I had to put that out there. It's a really good book. But want to say, so you want to be very selective on not just what you're choosing to listen to or read, but again, your environment of the people you choose to have in it. How people engage with you. Are they very resistant? Are they more of a harmonious person? Do they have more of an ebb and flow personality? Resistant people will tend to chip away at you. You will become fatigued with them easily.
Okay, great. Well, I know we have to wrap up soon, but I did any kind of practical, because the stuff that we talked about, it's so powerful. I kind of really resonate and understand with what you're saying, and I think many people do as well. But I think a lot of people also, they're just like, and we gave some practical steps, right? Like meditation and thinking and protecting what you allow in your mind, right? And trying to sort of control your thoughts, be aware of your thoughts. Is there any kind of like practical step? Is like writing affirmations and saying them over and over to train their brain? Is there any kind of something like that, like a takeaway, an action step that someone could start doing?
Yes. And so there's tips as far as like, first you want to take inventory of yourself and your thoughts, right? What am I thinking? And I always say on a piece of paper on the left side, you write down all the thoughts that are distorted, meaning that don't serve you. And how do you know don't serve you? They don't feel good. If they're negative in their thinking, they are survival thoughts or not thriving thoughts. Just write them down. And then on the right side of the paper, you write down the opposite of the thought. You don't even have to think of what you want to think. Just write down the opposite. If the thought is, I should be further in life, and you write on the other side, you know what? I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Totally different, right? If the thought is, I don't feel like I speak well, and I'm not articulate as I want to be. You know what? I am well spoken, and the way I speak actually works. You go opposite on the other side. When you, upon rising in the morning, you read the right side, because you're going to rip the paper in half. You're going to trash out distorted thinking. Don't even have it in your home. You want to put it in a trash can that the trash person will pick up, because Maya Angelou said it best. She said, when people come in her home and they're speaking negative thoughts, she says she's asked groups of people to leave from time to time, because she told them, when you leave my home, I'm stuck with your words. You can go. And so my home gets filled up with the negative or the positive energy of your words. I have to sleep here and I'm stuck with it. So when you're in my home, she said, you speak only positivity or words, right? That you want to manifest. And I thought, genius, think of that as your mind. Your mind is a garden. What you plant will grow, no matter whether you physically water it or not. So you want to be very careful of what you're planting. So after you make your list, you rip it in half, throw away the distorted thinking. Upon arising and going to sleep, which is demising at night, you read that list out loud. After you do that for a couple of weeks, then you start to show up in what that list says. When you start to speak, whether you stutter or you're not as articulate, who cares? You start to speak and think at the same time. How I think is perfectly fine. People always tend to get my message. My message is always delivered, right? When you start to think, dang, I'm not where I should be, you say, as you enter a room, as you feel that insecurity come up upon you, speak. I mean, you think it while you're walking in, that says, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I see it, and so does everyone else. Wow. So you carry that equipment with you everywhere you go. And before you know it, you accidentally start to show up as that person. I know I used to get nervous when I speak. And I would sometimes stumble on my words when I'm speaking, doing public speaking with a lot of folks. And once I got to the point of just saying with my inventory, you know what? I'm coming to give my all, and my all has to be good enough. And so I'm going to give them everything I got. And I'm going to take ego out of it. I'm here to be of service to them, not for them to be of service to my ego and have to like or love my presentation. When I surrendered to that, every time from there, a couple of things. I was about 99 or maybe 97% less nervous. I showed up in who I was when I would present. People loved the heck out of me because I was just being me, to the point where sometimes I'm even human, where I would say, hey, one time I said, I just drank too much coffee this morning, and I tell myself to never drink before I present. So I might stumble over my words a little bit, but work with your girl, work with me. And the crowd went crazy. They loved it. So I was myself. And then after, people go, wow, you know, I've resonated with you, and I've been at this company for 20, 30 years, right? Or I've been at the company 10 years, and you were just so relatable and so real and so you. That comes from my inventory that I took. I wrote out my right list, threw away that distorted thinking, and I said, I'm showing up in my power. Because let me tell you why. The right side of all the stuff you write down, that's the opposite of your distorted thinking, that's your power. When you show up in that, you take it back. And so that is the how to do it. And if you got to carry that list in your pocketbook or in your purse or in your bag or in your backpack, carry it. But remember to show up in that and be okay with it, because you're equipped. And I know we got to wrap, but I do want to leave people, everyone listening, including you and I, on the fact that exactly how you're created is how you were supposed to be created. And to say that you are not good enough is extremely arrogant to whoever your creator is. Whoever is very arrogant to think that they made a mistake when they created you. They made you the way you are so that whoever your audience or who you're supposed to help change, love, and heal and service could see and hear you, right? And so if you don't show up in who you are, a couple things, your people will not be able to find or see you, and your blessing can definitely not find you, because your blessings are perfectly custom tailored to who you are. And if you detour off of who you are authentically, then your blessing has to wait for you to be in your perfect form, which is exactly who you are. And when I realized that, I was like, well, I'm supposed to be as cool as I am. I'm supposed to be as articulate or unarticulate as I am. I'm supposed to be the little girl from the inner city who shows up the way she does. And from that mark of me accepting and surrendering to that, I don't believe I missed a blessing, and my momentum sped up, and people see the human in me, and I come off as dehumanized and cold. They see the human in me, and because we are servicing and engaging with other humans, the only place humans can relate to is the heart space. If you relate to at the heart space, you have a friend for life. You relate at the mind space, when the memory goes, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a great note to end it on. That was so well said. And just everything you said here today has resonated with me so much. I'm feeling inspired. So thank you for inspiring me here today. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, where can people follow you, learn more from you? They should definitely get your book. I'm picking up your book, Mental Detox, right after this. And how else can people learn more from you?
Absolutely. They can visit my website at drbryant.co, and that's .co, not .com, drbryant.co. My social media is _Dr. Bryant, or you can Google Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. We come up number one on Google. But I also want to thank you for doing this podcast and for being of service to everyone who's listening, as well as myself, because what you're doing is huge. People need this type of platform so they can get tips and tools and awareness. You never know who's listening, and you never know whose life you are changing, and also you are saving in the sense of just what you do. And so I want to thank you for using your testimony, right, with this platform and allowing folks like myself who are experts to come on and marry with you to change lives, to give tips and tools, because that is the way, again, to being successful. And successful, in my opinion, is just, are you happy? If you're happy, you have reached the pinnacle of success. I have clients with lots of money and no sense of self, and they are miserable. And I have clients that are doing okay, but they have all the happiness in the world. And I always say, I'll take their smile over their bank account any day.
Right. Right. Amazing. Thank you so much. And yeah, that's what we're trying our best to do here. We are doing, hopefully, is helping as many people as possible. And you've certainly contributed in a big way to that here today. So thank you so much, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Until next time.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. And just a reminder, if you haven't yet tried any of our Peak Performance products, you get 20% off your first order. We have one of the largest selection of USDA certified organic superfood powders, as well as very high quality supplements. And you get 20% off your first order at buypeakperformance.com. That's www.buypeakperformance.com.